Are you a fan of Brazilian steakhouses? You just love the way the meat comes off the skewer? Today in the test kitchen, we're going to show you how to do it on your grill. Steakhouses have large churrascos, they're called, so large rotisseries where the meat is on a sword. We're going to break this down for you so we can manage it on your grill. Let's look at this cut. Specifically, the picanha is what is used in Brazilian steakhouses. That cut is the top cap of the sirloin. So this is what it looks like. So it's got a fat cap on one side and the lean on the other. And you can see how thick the meat is, but you can also see how thick that fat cap is. We're going to cut this into manageable pieces and put it on skewers rather than large swords. Make sure you subscribe right here for more recipes and techniques. Let's get started. First, I'm going to clean off the silver skin on the underside, which would be this silver skin right here. So it's kind of a triangular shape. We're going to work it off. And if you've ever taken silver skin off of a tenderloin, it's real similar to that. Or actually skinned fish, like salmon, same idea. So you take that silver skin off. You could just kind of whittle your knife underneath and then pull it up and then take your knife and ride it. Just a little bit of tension up. Excess fat will get off. And we'll take that trim and put it aside. So that's the silver skin removed from the underside. But really what we want to work on is kind of the aggressive amount of fat. Let me cut you what's called a face cut right here so you can see a new fresh cut of how much fat there is. You can see that's a lot, okay? I want to trim that to maybe about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick is all I want that to be. Now, because the thickness changes, you can see how thick it is here and it's thin there, and you're kind of doing some guesswork if you don't know this cut. I'm going to cut this into steaks now from this direction, and then I'm going to trim each piece to the fat thickness that I want that's ideal. Typically in the steakhouse, you would take this, like in big restaurants, they might cut this once and then take that whole piece and curl it and put it on the sword. But we're going to cut it in smaller pieces about this thick and put each piece on a skewer. You'll see the very distinct grain direction that goes this direction, and I'm cutting against that grain intentionally. So it's a more tender eating experience. Speaking about tender, take a look at the inside of this. Look at that marbling. That's going to make it so tender. That marbling is characteristic of certified Angus beef. Look for the certified Angus beef logo to guarantee that kind of marbling. The top cap of the sirloin is the prize cut of the sirloin. It eats kind of like a strip steak or a tri-tip steak if you've had that before. Now, like I said, I'm going to trim the fat cap off of each piece. So about 1/4 inch, maybe maximum, and then about 1/8 inch is what I'm going for. So you can see that's an ideal thickness, about 1/4 inch to the amount of lean. In the short amount of time this is going to cook, that fat cap is going to be the perfect amount to go with the amount of steak. The reason why this cut works so well for something skewered is because of that marbling inside and the fat cap. It's just perfect to hit the grill. We talk about seasoning a lot with steaks, and it's no different for what we put on the skewer. We're going to get a good amount of seasoning on each side. Normally it's just salt and pepper, but because this is a special occasion, it's a party at the grill, a crowd's coming, so you want to have a bold and impressive rub to go with this great steak that you're putting on. So we've created the Arrachera Rub, which is traditionally one we have a recipe for with skirt steak, because Arrachera is really a skirt. However, we're going to use that same rub because it's so bold on this picanha, or top cap of the sirloin. So it's just salt, coarse salt, and then all of these wonderful spices here, including some brown sugar, some paprika, smoked if you can find it, some garlic powder, black pepper, red chili flakes, dried cilantro, some chili pepper, and some cumin. Just mix this all together. And you can do this beforehand and have this rub ready to go, and then we'll just put it all over our steaks. So I've got ingredients that are nice and coarse. I use the granulated garlic specifically, not the powder, because I want less of a paste and more of a coarse rub. The sugar component will caramelize and create a really good crust on this, but you have to be careful to not sit it too long or it actually burn. So I'm seasoning it before I put it on the skewer because these are going to get curled on the skewer. I want to make sure it's all seasoned all over it. These could go right on the grill the way they are. You don't have to put them on the skewer. You could just do top sirloin cap steaks right on the grill, which would be completely delicious. But hey, this is Brazilian Steakhouse experience. Let's put it on a sword. Everything tastes better on a sword. I talked about the whole piece being curled. Same technique here, see? I take each piece and curl it and put it on a large skewer. I'm going to talk about these skewers here that I've got. I try to pierce right in the center of that fat. That's important. And slide down. So this skewer, you notice, is flat. And that's important so that as this sits on the grill, when the meat is on here, you may have had this happen on a skewer, it rotates, it kind of swivels around. This prevents that from happening. So I'll put probably 3 pieces on each skewer. Be careful not to pierce oneself because there is a layer of silver skin that lives under that fat, so you find it is a little challenging to press that through on that final push. Let's get it right through there, the center. There we go. There we go. That's kind of the look we're going for. Maybe a little extra rub if it needs it. And we'll do the rest of the skewers like that. If you don't have one of these special flat skewers, which by the way I just found online, take 2 long, kind of sturdy bamboo skewers. So I'm going to get right to the tip here, again centered, and then all the way to the tip here, right to the edge. Let's try to catch some of that edge. Yeah, good. Then a second one, I'm going to enter back here, so it'll end up, does that make sense? A little bit back here. So they're about 1 inch apart, but parallel. What that'll do is prevent it from rotating and twirling on the grill. So we can put maybe a couple on this guy because the skewers are shorter. You can see that's a good amount of meat on each skewer. With all of this together, I think I can feed a hungry group of 8 to 10 people. Now let's get them on the grill. Get these all on the grill. I've got the grill on hot, so whatever grill you use, gas or charcoal, get it pretty hot. I'm talking about 500 degrees. I want to really get a good crisp char on one side. Then we're going to flip it and put it on the other side. It's going to be about 5 minutes per side. I'm going to make sure I don't burn it on each side. I'm going to turn these. Good crispy grill marks on each side. You've got hot spots. Make sure you rotate which cuts end up in that spot. We have to be careful not to scorch. Because of that, I keep a cool side of the grill, which I'm going to go to over here, so I can finish them cooking on lower heat all the way through. I just want to make sure that fat cap gets cooked too. Careful, these metal skewers get really hot. So crust development's important kind of all over the piece of meat, especially on that fat cap. That's why I keep touching the fat cap on it to get that good char. I'll keep these on the cool side. I'll measure the inside temperature and take it to about 120 degrees. Because I want it to be medium rare. So I'm only like 85 and 100, so it's good that I have a cool side. Your grill's going to be different on where the hot spots are, so just make sure you move the meat around to where it all gets good char, and then it's kind of mellows out in a cool area to completely cook through to your target doneness. If medium rare is not your target doneness, take a look at the chart here and pick yours. Oh, these look good. Oh, they smell so good too. Incredible. They've been resting just for about 5 minutes, and I think that's the minimum you should do for resting a steak when it comes off the grill. Be careful of the metal skewers if you have them. That's still probably really hot. Use a towel or a glove, and then it's really just sliding them off of each skewer is all you need to do at this point. And then you could serve people this whole steak cut, but I'm going to cut it into kind of manageable chunks and then put it on a party platter. Instead of pushing from here, I push each steak off so I don't lose a lot of those juices by putting too much pressure on them. You see, I charred the heck out of that bamboo one. It doesn't seem too hot. I think I can pull it out this way. There we go. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Good char all the way around. Let's see what the doneness looks like. Ooh, good. Just maybe chunks like this, and we'll just start putting them on a platter. Remember that C shape and just kind of cut around in maybe 1-2 inch chunks for people. But make sure, I think, on each piece, make sure you get a little piece of fat with the rest of the lean. And our final test is to see if we've got that nice Brazilian steakhouse flavor. Let's take a bite of one of these. Ooh, that one looks good. I like a little bit of fat with it too. Make sure. Oh yeah, all those little juicy nubbins. That is so good. You're gonna love this. There it is, a Brazilian steakhouse experience at your own grill. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time in the test kitchen.